Today marks 1 year since a white gunman opened fire at 3 spas in the Atlanta area, killing 8 people. 6 of them were Asian women. Investigators said the killer claimed he was trying to get rid of his, quote, sexual temptations. ABC 13's race and culture reporter Rosie Nguyen joining us now live from the newsroom to discuss how this tragedy is bringing attention to the ongoing issues that Asian American women face. Rosie?
Chauncey, tonight we are looking at the issues of fetishization and hypersexualization. It's something that many of the Asian American women I talked to could relate to. That's why the impact of those Atlanta spa shootings could be felt throughout the country, even right here in Houston.
This is a real crisis that we must address and look at.
Addressing violence against women is something Chau does every day in her line of work with the Houston Area Women's Center. But she says the tragedy that killed 8 people at 3 Atlanta area spas a year ago struck a personal chord with her.
I have 2 Asian American daughters, and I ask myself, what kind of a world do they live in that's not safe?
According to investigators, the killer said he was trying to get rid of his sexual temptations and denied any racial motivations. But the victims' families and prosecutors disagree, now seeking to enhance his sentencing to the level of a hate crime. Nguyen says this senseless act of violence is an example of how hypersexualization and fetishization can manifest itself into deadly outcomes.
Hypersexualization looks at women as mere objects and not as human, holistic beings.
She says this comes from harmful stereotypes of Asian women being docile, submissive, or exotic. Advocates say this is not a new issue for Asian American women. In fact, it's existed since they first immigrated to this country in the late 1800s.
There were laws that excluded East Asian women. They were described as temptations. They were sexualized now in the media, in Hollywood.
So what can be done to combat this issue? Nguyen says it starts with raw, vulnerable, and uncomfortable conversations.
We're asking people to take a real look within themselves and look at their biases.